Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into another film that is not a new release. This is a series that I mentioned starting back when I did my Alien 3 video. Just as a reminder, these videos will contain spoilers because it's not something that just came out and a lot of people haven't seen yet. And another reminder that this series will contain films that I both love and hate, or maybe I'm somewhere in the middle on. They're just movies that I find interesting to talk about. And today we're looking at James Gunn's The Suicide Squad from 2021. I've been wanting to review this for a while, so I'm glad I'm finally taking the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. And to be clear, we're talking about The Suicide Squad, not Suicide Squad from 2016, that David Ayer mess that I think had actually some fun ingredients. I don't hate that film as much as most people do, but overall I think it's pretty unsalvageable. A lot of people were asking for David Ayer to bring his own director's cut to the table, particularly after that fiasco with Zack Snyder and his cut of the Justice League, but I don't know. I don't think it's salvageable. Also, to me, it feels like a good time to talk about this movie because the DC Extended Universe is ending. I mean, Aquaman and the Last Kingdom put the final nail in the coffin for that thing, and now James Gunn himself is rebooting a brand new timeline for DC with Superman Legacy, which I believe comes out next year. Now, if you don't know who James Gunn is, he became really popular when he first made Guardians of the Galaxy under Marvel, and obviously he wound up making 2 sequels to that. But before he made Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Disney fired him after digging up some old tweets that he made years ago. I just really hate all this dumb cancel culture stuff. Granted, he made some tweets that were pretty offensive, a lot of crude jokes involving children, and I don't condone that whatsoever, but it's possible for people to grow and change, and they were from 8 years ago. However, Disney firing Gunn may have actually been a blessing in disguise because he was able to be hired by DC to make a film of his choice, and he chose, out of everything, to make a Suicide Squad movie, which was a bold choice given how things resulted the last time somebody tried to do that. The difference here is that James Gunn was given a lot more creative control, so let's talk about this movie and why I think it is the absolute best of the DC Extended Universe. And while this is technically a sequel, it's not Suicide Squad 2, they just added "the" in front of the title for some reason. But it does carry over elements and characters from the first film. Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Amanda Waller is still in charge. We have some familiarity with those characters, even though they're treated much differently this time. And the premise is the same. We once again have physically enhanced criminals being coerced into being a part of Task Force X, a team of supervillains who are forced to work together to take down some sort of malevolent force that affects the world. And if they choose to deviate from that mission at all, they have a microchip implanted into their neck that will explode if detonated by Waller and the people that are overseeing the mission. And what I really love about this is that it feels like a proper comic book adaptation. 2021 was the year where I think superhero fatigue had started to set in for me and a lot of people, but this pulled me right out of that funk and reminded me that good directors who are given creative liberties and bring genuine craftsmanship to their work can still make these succeed. And honestly, I think this might be my second favorite DC film of all time, right behind The Dark Knight. I don't think anything will ever top that. And most people would probably say, Josh, you're crazy. Batman Begins or The Dark Knight Rises or a plethora of other DC films are better than this. And that's fair. People are welcome to have their own opinions, but for me, this is the second best. It comes the closest to giving me what I want out of a movie like this. It's R-rated too. We don't get a lot of R-rated comic book movies because studios are scared that they'll lose out on their target audience. But the R rating allows this to be much more violent and mean-spirited than its predecessor. It kind of has a little bit more of a Deadpool or Kick-Ass tone to it. James Gunn previously made a film called Super with Rainn Wilson, and it kind of feels like that too, but with a bigger budget. I didn't particularly like Super, but I think with more characters and more of a story, he was able to do a lot with this. The film opens with a brilliant fake out that I absolutely love. We're introduced to a bunch of characters who we're led to believe are the part of the main team. Fast forward about 10 minutes and all but like 2 of them are dead. It was a really good subversion of expectations while keeping things fresh and entertaining. I don't know how Gunn does this, but he makes all of these character deaths both hilarious and tragic at the same time. And And then we flash back a few days to be introduced to the real team as they're suiting up and prepping for this mission. We see how some of these characters are bribed or blackmailed into being a part of the team. Idris Elba plays Bloodsport, who is, I guess, kind of our protagonist, and he gets roped into this because Amanda Waller makes threats to his daughter that she may be able to put her into this institution where she would likely not last very long. Elba's great. He does a lot with this role. I didn't mind Will Smith as Bloodshot in the previous movie, but I think this character is given a similar arc but executed much better. And just like Gunn did with Guardians of the Galaxy, he brings in so many obscure characters that nobody has heard of before, like Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher, King Shark, and he makes them so instantly likable. And let me be clear, all of these characters have done horrible things, and they do horrible things in the movie too, but Gunn somehow manages to humanize each and every one of them to a degree that would seem impossible in the hands of someone else. Hell, I even like John Cena in this as Peacemaker. There's a reason he went on to have a successful spin-off show, and I don't know that I've ever liked John Cena in a film role before. Especially, it's so interesting if you go back and compare how he was utilized in a film like F9 versus this. I'm telling you, James Gunn just knows how to take these actors, put them in a place where their sensibilities fit in, and make the most of them. And this is absolutely the case with Peacemaker. The character arcs are definitely there. Everyone learns to work as a team, but also that they can do better in their lives. And unlike in the first movie, people actually die in this. Yes, they kill off more characters than just Slipknot and whatever that fire dude's name was. I can't even remember. Diablo, was it? And when the characters that they've been developing throughout the film do bite it, you actually feel it. Like, this movie made me feel for Rick Flag when he died. He was like the most boring person ever in the original one. And I also gotta say, John Cena actually delivers some pretty good acting in that scene too. You see the conflict in Peacemaker. They establish him as this guy who is willing to kill men, women, and children aplenty as long as it keeps the peace. And this was just such an interesting way to generate conflict within the team. Oh my god, the movie even made me feel kind of bad for Starro, the giant kaiju starfish monster that kills literally thousands of humans. Before dying, it, and I'm referring to it as an it because they don't specify the gender, it says that it enjoyed floating around in space staring at the stars. It didn't choose to be captured by astronauts and experimented on and used as this bioweapon. And the more you dig into that, there are definitely layers here of commentary about US foreign intervention and how reckless that can sometimes be. And don't get me wrong, it's very in your face with its themes and commentary. There's zero subtlety to it, but it's so bold and irreverent and distinctly James Gunn that I just love it, man. This guy can do no wrong so far. And despite the fact that there is a lot of humor in this movie and it has its tongue firmly planted in its cheek for most of the runtime, it does still take some time to get you emotionally invested in the characters. I love how in the third act, everything comes full circle when Ratcatcher, we see her history with her father, the revelation that even the most despised of individuals and creatures are capable of doing good. That's what brings this full circle and actually got me emotionally invested through and through. On a technical level, I really like it too. John Murphy's score, the needle drops, the impressive, polished VFX that are used in some scenes. I'm not going to say that all the VFX look perfect, but compared to a lot of the schlock we get nowadays, absolutely. The acting is incredibly solid across the board, particularly the actress who plays Ratcatcher. Her name is escaping me right now. The color schemes, the inventive scene transitions that Gunn uses, where he uses the actual environments that the characters are in to spell out what the scene is going to entail. It really is the closest you can come to feeling like you're reading a just super dark and twisted graphic novel. Also, I want to mention I'm a Harley Quinn fan, but I wasn't too impressed with Birds of Prey, so it was nice to see her better utilized in here. I think Harley Quinn works best as a side character, or not a side character, but she can't be the only character, the only focus, because I think it's easy to oversaturate your film with her type of presence. But here she's well used. She gets a character arc of sorts that harkens back to her relationship with the Joker. If anything good comes of the Jared Leto Joker shit, at least we get this hilarious scene where it looks like she's gonna marry this Prince dude and just shoots him at point blank out of nowhere. That was really funny. So yeah, I unapologetically love this film. So let's give James Gunn's The Suicide Squad 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's his second best behind the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Those two, I mean, they're both among the best of their respective franchises. So I know some people have apprehensions about what he's gonna do with his rebooted DC extended universe, because we're going to be dealing with some characters that he's not typically well suited towards. Again, I think Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, these obscure characters that are not meant to be taken too seriously. He does a great job with. We'll see what he does with Superman. I'm willing to go in with an open mind because he's yet to disappoint me. That's going to wrap this one up, guys. As always, be sure to drop down in the comments and let me know what you think of the Suicide Squad. And give me like your top 5 favorite DC movies ever. I'm curious to see if people really think this is a hot take for me to hold this to such a high level as being second behind The Dark Knight. But that's just my opinion. As usual, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.